Welcome back to another episode of the Career Evolved podcast. And this episode isn't just another pep talk, it's more of a reality check and a roadmap. And I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with so many leaders, high potential professionals, and I'm here to validate yes, times are tough, jobs are unpredictable. There's waves of layoffs, and AI has completely disrupted the job market and created even more confusion and more noise and more chaos with what is the next move. And so, Career Evolved, we've been through so many markets. I've seen it all over the last decade. I've been through, boom markets, recessions, COVID, and now this. And by far, this is a very chaotic, loud, noisy environment. But what I've seen through these cycles and pattern recognition and being able to see the trends, just like I spoke about 3 years ago, I started talking about the white collar recession, and now people are finally accepting that's what this is. So we're always on the cutting edge of trends because we simply speak to hundreds of executives every week and we're very in tune with what's happening, and we're usually the first to see it, and I really pride myself on being on the ground floor and really in the mix and on the front lines so that I can be really connected, not only to my clients, but to what's going out in the market because the best place to learn is real time, engaging and interacting with the market and really being attuned to that, and, that's something that AI can't do for you. And that's something that you can't do more volume. You need more clarity and leverage. More volume doesn't solve the problem. And so I really want to share what I've been seeing just the last few weeks as, we're in a really what I call a trust recession. And what that means is executives, leaders, CEOs, just generally speaking, people are not quick to trust. They're not quick to invest, and they're really protective of their resources. So if they're going to invest, they need to know and have absolute conviction in that value. And they need to know that that's going to go somewhere for them and their business. And they need to know that, you're going to deliver for them. And so Career Evolved is really helping you, if you're in the storm, no matter where you sit, to really unlock the blocks in your mindset that are taking you from really going backwards because we live in a time right now where it's easy to just doom scroll and sort of freeze and check out versus evolve. Because evolving is not easy to do. You have to change how you've been thinking. You have to change your beliefs. You have to change how you're moving, how you see yourself, how you market, how you remain relevant. And it's not just about getting more certifications, it's evolving your mindset and how you are operating. And so in this episode, I'm going to share really how to move away from fear and chaos and not let that define your future, and how to invest when everything feels unstable. Because at the end of the day, when we're in times like this and there's a squeeze and there's layoffs, there's, a volatility to the growth in businesses and many people are being forced to do more with less. When that happens, it's easy for everyone to go to a scarcity mindset. And when you're in a scarcity mindset, you're in a self-preservation mode where you're in protection mode. And evolution, creativity cannot exist and have fear at the same time. You can't evolve and innovate not only how you're moving, how you're thinking, how you're executing, and be in fear and scarcity at the same time. So fear really forces you to narrow your vision and it forces you to only see through a lens of survival. And what I've learned as the CEO of Career Vault, I've been through it all where I've had to make tough investments to evolve when I couldn't see the full staircase yet. And I wasn't able to see what my next move was. I wasn't able to see exactly how it was all going to happen. But my ability to trust my internal guidance system, trust my vision, and trust myself is ultimately what continued to allow me to break through and continue to rise through disrupted markets, because in the end, we either evolve or we expire. Whether it's as leaders, as business owners, as professionals, we're either evolving or we're dying, and I hate to make it that gruesome, but sometimes it really does come down to, are we gonna move forward or are we gonna go backwards? Because staying stagnant is moving backwards. And I have to have these really tough conversations with executives every day, because playing it safe is not safe. That's playing not to lose, and then you end up losing. You've got to play to win, you've got to sharpen the blade, and you have to build the self-trust in yourself, in the value that you deliver. If you treat yourself like a commodity and you play the passive game, then you're not going to be growing, and you're not going to be pushing past that fear. So fear can either narrow your vision and keep you operating from the same mindset and programming from your past, or it can be a catalyst, because fear is extremely valuable energy. If you're able to channel that energy towards your dream, towards a greater vision. And the problem is right now, when you're in the middle of chaos and there's a storm, you can't even see a vision, let alone believe in it. And that's why there's so much opportunity during these kinds of markets, because most people aren't even showing up because they are in freeze mode. They're in the waited out mode and hurry up and wait and just hoping that it gets better. And they don't really have a strategy. And so when you're really stuck in that pattern of operating off survival and fear and you're in freeze mode, you have to activate a sense of trust and conviction and decision. And this is not easy to do because we're downloading narratives of fear. If you're watching the news, you've probably got a lot of fear. If you're scrolling on social media, there's so much negativity and chaos and mixed messages. And it can be very difficult to know what's true and to find that guiding North Star as a compass so that you know what your next step is. And so when I see that the market's disrupted and you are really not sure what your next move is, that's when it's so important that you get that clarity, because moving without clarity creates more chaos. And being able to really invest in yourself is not a strategy. It's not a vanity strategy of upgrading, it's also a strategy to survive, because survival requires evolving. And it's one thing to reach the greatest heights of your career, but it's another thing to stay there. And you have to evolve to stay there, and you have to stay relevant, and you have to stay sharp, and you have to continue to get stronger, because leaders do more, not less. And I think we live in this day and age where everyone wants quick and easy. They want a microwave button to success and they want to automate everything using AI. I see it every day in my industry where people are literally saying, I'll schedule all the interviews for you, and we'll do 2,000 applications a month, and we'll take care of the rest, and you'll get 20 interviews a month. And so that kind of over promising and taking ownership of problems, it's a lot of hype and then there's no delivery. And why is that? Because when we're in fear, we want to hear that someone's going to just take over and we're waiting to kind of be saved in a way. But the problem is we must save ourselves and take that ownership and really get clarity of what we need. And at the end of the day, it's crystal clear. There's no easy button to success. Anyone who's done anything of significance knows that you've got to do more to be the leader, not less. And that is truly the God's honest truth, because it comes down to, do you trust yourself to evolve and win and learn to win under new conditions? Because every time I've been through a disrupted market, whether it's as a CEO or guiding my clients through disrupted markets, which this is very similar to COVID when everyone was in total freeze and fear mode. It was unprecedented times because you'd never seen anything like this before. Like, so many businesses were literally just shutting down, and it was like doomsday, right? And so people were literally under the belief that no one's hiring. And, you know, that couldn't be furthest from the truth because business never stops. And as a leader, an opportunity is created through disruption because disruption creates problems, and problems need to be solved or people go out of business. So being able to identify opportunity means you're in a higher energy level and mindset to be able to see that now there still is an abundance of opportunity, and it's actually easier to win when you're in a stronger mindset because most people aren't even showing up. Most people can't even see the opportunity. Most people don't even know how to tap into that. Most people don't even have the humility to ask for help and get support and go after winning and make an investment to trust to break through because most people are playing safe. And why I continue to be able to lead some of the top 10% top tier leaders that have gotten to heights of CEO and the pinnacles of success is because, quite frankly, I walk what I talk. I continue to choose faith over fear. I continue to trust myself. I continue to invest in myself. I continue to. This episode is sponsored by Career Evolved. And are you ready for a career breakthrough? And what I mean by breakthrough is, are you ready to finally get paid your true value and also feel inspired and aligned with your work, aligned with the leadership team, and actually getting the purpose and the impact that makes you feel fulfilled at the end of your workday? If so, I would encourage you to schedule a free 1 hour breakthrough session with us to get to the bottom of what are the key gaps that are stopping you from making this breakthrough? What are your goals? And then once we get clarity on that, if we can help, we'll tell you exactly how. If not, you'll still leave with value and clarity. And this is a free 1 hour consultation. We do need to make sure you're qualified for this. We are targeting those who have executive level management leadership skills. Those are the best fit and alignment for the Career Evolved process and community. So if this sounds like you, go ahead and head to www.careerevolved.com/schedule. That's www.careerevolved.com/schedule. Go ahead, select a time, answer the questions, and we will go deep and we will get to the truth on what's stopping you and plan the next steps from there. Now I'll let you get back to the podcast. Be on the cutting edge and to test new things and always be evolving. And, you know, fear is the most valuable energy for me because when I get fearful, I get curious. And it always gets me curious because I know there's a breakthrough on the other side of that fear. And I know that's the path of my evolution. Fear also represents that there's a desire on the other side of that fear. And if you can move through it, it's where your breakthrough is. And so if you run away from the fear, now you're going back to your old programming of what feels safe. And, in our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, like what feels safe is what we already know because we've already seen it. And when you choose fear, you choose your past. When you choose faith, you're choosing a greater vision. And of course, you're not going to see the full staircase because you've never done it. And you've never maybe even done it in these conditions. So it can be tough to trust and believe. And so honestly, it goes down to these root cause belief systems that keep people to rationalize fear driving the wheel. And if you're making decisions from fear and scarcity, you create more fear and scarcity and you dig a deeper and deeper hole because you're trying to get safety outside of yourself when really the trust that I am ready to win and I am ready to evolve and I am ready to break through and I'm committed to paying the price of success. And if the price of success went up, that means I need to evolve, I need to expand. Well, then that's what I'm going to do. And I am always willing to pay the price of success. I am always willing to win. And I know as a leader, I'm always willing to do more. And so fear is not a sign to stop, it's a compass. Fear points to what really matters most to you. And it's an awakening for you instead of avoiding it and trying to put your head in the sand or try to like deflect and create this delusional optimism so you don't have to evolve and hope. And this is what I call delusional optimism, just assuming that it's all going to work out without any evolution or change. And that's the biggest thing that keeps people from breaking through during these disrupted markets because they get complacent and they slowly let go and let go of their dream. It just, their fear becomes bigger than their dream and they choose safety over evolving and breaking through. And so this is a really a changing of the guards. There's a lot of new leaders that are going to rise during this cycle. I see it every time. And then there's some leaders that are going to go backwards because they didn't want to evolve and they didn't want to raise their hand and get vulnerable and open up and really dig deep. And it is going to be 80% mindset because when you've got AI, you've got a ton of people out here competing that are excellent. What's that thing that breaks those through that don't get the breakthrough? It's a level of conviction. It's a level of self-trust. It's a level of inner knowing your worth and conviction in that worth and ability to command that worth. And these are things that you've got to close those gaps because many people don't even know how to embody that. They logically think they know their value. They logically think that they're confident, but truly building unwavering conviction and becoming the calm in the chaos, that's a leader that sells in any market. Because that's when leadership is most valuable. The person that brings order to chaos, the person that brings clarity during the storms when everybody's hiding, the one that steps up to the plate and says, I can solve this problem. That's where the breakthroughs happen. That's why the most millionaires are made during recession markets is because of all the disruption creates opportunity, but you have to be able to see it to seize it. And most people can't even show up, let alone see it. Most people don't even have hope because they don't have that faith muscle. And this is where, a lot of people don't get comfortable talking about their spirituality and their faith, but that is really what allows someone to hold a vision. Faith in yourself, faith in a higher power, faith in the process, faith in, the cycles of just markets and evolution. And, I pride myself on being really aware of macro trends, macroeconomics, and social trends, psychological trends, everything that plays a factor in to the market and how people are evolving in their careers. And what I've seen time and time again, macroeconomics, regardless of the conditions, is not an excuse to do nothing. In fact, it's an opportunity to create evolution because you are forced to adapt and you're forced to think creatively, but you can't get creative if you're worried about survival. And you cannot think about thriving and innovating and evolving and rising if you're in a mindset of survival. And I'm seeing so many people get trapped in that cycle of let me just play it safe, let me just conserve everything I have, and let me just try to wait it out. But that's not a strategy. That's not a mindset of a leader who's committed to winning and breaking through. And so sometimes we've got to shed light on this because I had a client who almost gave up on their entire career and they were just going to literally throw in the towel and go take a $60,000 job and take a $200,000 pay cut. And I said, listen, it's not my life. I can't want this more than you. But at the end of the day, like I would never advise you to choose that path because I see such high potential in you and your ability to evolve and your commitment to your future has to be bigger than your fear. That has to be bigger than your desire to survive. Now, if you need to survive and pay the bills and that's the practical route, that is perfectly fine. But for most people, the stories of fear and hopelessness are not even rational. You're actually safe. You're actually secure, but it's addicting to feed off the fear, whether you're watching the news or scrolling on social media, it can swallow you up. if you don't have really strong beliefs to really drive you forward, and that's belief in your worth, belief in your value, belief in your vision, belief in your strategy and plan, that's what we're building at Career Evolved. It's not just the ability to do it and the connections in the community, it's actually becoming the person not only that has unwavering conviction in your value, but the person that can actually command that value in any market, in any condition. That's what we do, and that's why we still have clients even in the chaos getting offers. And you can go and watch some of these videos, and they tell me, they're like, "Olivia, it's like you're building me up in this gem of resilience and transformation where every day the possibilities become brighter and brighter because I'm clearing out all the mental resistance and limiting beliefs that I didn't even know were holding me back. And all of a sudden, they don't see through a tunnel vision of fear, but they see through an expansive lens of hope and faith. And that's why I love what I do, because when I can get people to break through the limiting beliefs of scarcity and programming that they've held for sometimes decades, generations, and centuries, and I can see them open up, that's what really lights me up. And, getting a breakthrough on every single call is my intention, regardless if anyone pays me a dime, because at the end of the day, what fuels me is the purpose and the impact. And when you know you've got purpose, impact, and value, the market will always reward. That is how business works. But when you're hiding and you're not sure and you're not showing up and you're burying your head in the sand and hoping it's gonna just fall in your lap, and you're playing it passive, or you're playing it safe, or you're playing it not to win, you don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance because you're behaving in a sheep mindset versus a shepherd. A leader's here to lead and step out and be the trailblazer and grab that torch and guide the way. But in order to lead others, we must first lead ourselves. And leaders are supposed to be dealers in hope. But what are we doing to deal that hope to others right now? If we don't feel that hope ourselves, if we don't feel that inspiration, if we don't have a vision that we can really believe and get behind, that we can deliver, then how are we supposed to influence and really command any sort of value if you're not in that energy right now? And as a visionary leader, as a highly conscious visionary leader, I'm used to being the calm in the chaos. I love when the markets are like this because it gives me the opportunity to really serve when it matters most and when it's needed most. And I know there are so many leaders, there's so many organizations that are just looking for something to believe in, and they're looking for the hope, and they're looking for the real deal because they need leadership. They need people that care, that bring the passion, that bring the heart, that bring the soul, that bring the grit, that bring the determination. That's not on a resume. You can't get that on a resume. You build it through times like these. So this is times where this time and this chaos, this struggle, if you're feeling this right now, that doesn't define you. It reveals who you are. And leaders rise, and leaders build, and leaders evolve, and leaders lead, and leaders do more, not less. And so if you're listening to this right now, I just want to give you a call to action, because this is about belief. This is about conviction. And if you don't believe that you can win right now, you've lost before you started. You're not even going to show up. It all starts with that belief. And you could have 100 different stories and limiting beliefs that you're entangled in right now, and you're swimming in mud. And so if you want to really start to break through, it's not in just these magical moments of listening to a podcast. It's about building in transformation and habits to transform your mind, and surrounding yourself with people that are going to inspire you, that show up and win under any condition. And that's the community I have created here at Career Evolve. Leaders who get multiple offers that were not even posted online. They're creating consulting opportunities that are life-changing, wealth-building opportunities because they know how to create value and they believe in that value and they know how to serve and they learn how to have a conversation and stand out through all the chaos and the noise, and they learn how to really fully find their unique voice and their authentic light, that they're able to attract a limitless opportunity because most people aren't even showing up. So if you want to know what's holding you back or you want to get to the truth with yourself, I invite you to book a 1 hour session with me, and you can do so at www.careerevolved.com/schedule. That's www.careerevolved.com/schedule. And on this call, I'm here to serve. I'm here to get to the truth. And I'm here to figure out what is really holding you back and give you a plan and provide that clarity and provide that hope. And hopefully, if we are aligned, go on a journey together. And, anyone that I invite in, I am fully committed to your success. I know every single person in my community and I am here for them. And so, as long as you're committed, I will continue, me and my team will continue to show up for you, but we can't want this more than you. There is no easy button to success, regardless of what you're gonna hear on the internet. All the hype and all the easy buttons and the automation, it doesn't work. I've tested it all. You've gotta be able to build trust. You can't have that someone do that for you. It's not gonna work. We're in a trust recession. Leaders do more, not less. We're looking for the real deal leaders that are ready to transform and evolve and do what it takes to win. And we have the one and only best way to do it because it requires transformation. So I hope to see you guys soon. If this resonated with you, please, share this with someone who needs some hope right now. We've got to spread the light. We got to spread the abundance mindset to get people out of their own heads so they can take back control of their career and their life.